Hi, this is Nick George with Clogged Sharpening, just to show you a video on the top 5 things a groomer can do to save money and make their job easier and make them better at their job. Okay, so oil's going to be your best friend. I know you might be tired of hearing that, but you got to get used to using it, especially if you want to be a good groomer or the best groomer you can be, because oil helps preventing this from causing heat friction as much. Plus, it helps it stay sharp because it beads the dirt off if you go into a dirty dog. And the clipper, it helps the clipper. By oiling it, this doesn't have to work as hard. It doesn't burn your commutator, and this glides with ease. So if this glides with ease, of course it's going to cut better, it's going to move faster, and it'll go through the hair with one swipe instead of going maybe 2 or 3 swipes because you don't have oil. And when you don't oil, orange accumulates around the blade, and then it gets on your dog and it makes you look bad. So oil your blades. That's the main thing. Getting your blades sharpened regularly keeps clipper blades sharp by having them professionally sharpened regularly. Dull blades require more effort. Regular sharpened clipper blades keeps the debris off the blade, plus it keeps you grooming smoothly, and it doesn't make your clipper work as hard. So, just for example, if you don't get your blade sharpened regularly, well, then you're going to have to make 2 or 3 swipes across the dog to get it to cut. Plus, while the blade is flat and dull, it is ruining the blade, because see, if this surface becomes like eaten in because there's no oil or something, or not sharpened regularly, well, then it has to be removed and put shape back in it for the longevity of the cut to work. So if you get them sharpened regularly, well, then I have to remove minimal amounts of metal. I have to resurface them, and I put shape in them, because once they're flat, they're dull. I have plenty of videos explaining that. If you need to watch it, please watch them. They're all over my channel, Clogged Sharpening. So yeah, get your blades sharpened regularly. You'll save money in the long run, and you'll save time, and time is the most valuable thing you'll learn to love as you get older. I am now 40, and I enjoy my time, so I make my job as easy as I can. I always get my wheels resurfaced when they need to be resurfaced, so I can put the correct shape on here, so I get no complaints and I have to do my job twice. That's why I have no complaints. I take my job very seriously. I always have tip-top shape machines, and that's just how it is. So clean and oil your blades. Let's go ahead and show you how to do that, since I talked about the importance already. So you can slide it halfway, take a brush, do that, and then you can slide it this way, take a brush and do that, and that will be all the hair. And then to oil it, you put a dot here, 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 and a dot here. Or some people don't oil at all and their blades turn orange, and I mean, just put a dot here and you'll see better results. But that isn't correct, because you want to get the whole blade. So what I do is I just put a little line, but that might be too much for you, I don't know. But you can also put clipper blade oil on here and blow it off, so it gets in the little pores of the metal. Just like your skin has holes in it when you zoom in it, this has little bitty holes, micro, very small, and the oil absorbs in it, and then it rides across it nice and smooth. To correctly engage the blade, I would recommend oiling it before you put it on there, and then move it around a little bit like that, and then turn your clipper on put it on the hinge and snap it down to the latch. And then once it's snapped down, see that didn't snap down, sometimes you gotta mess with that. You'll hear it click, and now it's latched. You don't want it to lift up because it will round this part, and if it's not perfectly squared, then it's not going to move this at 100%. Plus, oiling your blades keeps the bearing from getting damaged and ruining your motor. And now the only way you can get those bearings replaced is if you replace the motor or the armature. So you don't want to do that. So oil your blades, keep them clean, oil them before you put them on, and I would recommend oiling them after, and then just doing this a little bit or running it on your clipper. Either way. Because oil will prevent them from rusting even in a damp area. If you have oil on it, they won't be that damp. My cousins have a mobile grooming shop in California, or a grooming trailer, and they oil their blades, and when I get their blades, they leave them in their van or their trailer, and they're never rusted. So I mean, I know humidity rusts metal, but oil helps it. So oil, take your skillet, oil it, clean it, and then let it sit, and I promise you that it will turn orange. It'll start rusting. Same with the clipper blade. So you want to keep them oiled before and after at least. And it's not much, like a drop, 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 and a drop, 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 and that's enough. So in general, if your blades leave lines in the cut, you'll see uneven patterns in the cut. It's usually not the blade, because it's still cutting as long as it's not pulling. And it would be a problem with your clipper, so inspect your parts. That's another good tip, to inspect your parts. You don't lock the bearing to the left or the right and shake it like this, and it shouldn't move barely at all. Like mine don't move at all. So that's good. Now it moves if I push it hard enough, but you lock it into one place and then you can wiggle it just a little bit. See, the big movement is gonna happen because it's a bearing, but it shouldn't have little movement. And if it does, it's gonna leave little bitty micro lines across it. Now if your blade don't latch to the clipper also, it could lift up and stop working and pull. So you want to check and make sure the blade's always down. If your blade is pulling, when it goes and it just like pulls hair or frays it, well, then you need to get your blade sharpened. Generally when someone buys a new blade from me, they get it sharpened because they want it to work, and they don't want it to be like, cutting on one side, because sometimes manufactured blades are just, they're not in the sharpening business. They don't really know how to sharpen. They just get them made. So generally they're sharpened on a plate or a part, half of a block in a plate, and it only gets a little bit of shape, and it's generally flat. So a lot of customers that are professional want to get them sharpened brand new out of the package, because you don't want to get a brand new blade and then it not work. It sort of defeats the purpose. They do have warranties. If you read the back, it says send it back, and it can take up to 2 weeks, and they'll send you a new one. So there is warranties. They do make sure they are sharp, but a lot of my customers just want them sharp for sure, and that's my job. Is I make sure every blade works. I test every blade. Check your cords. Like if your clipper's cutting out, you're not gonna get through a groom very easily. So you could just go like this. If it's cutting out and needs to be serviced, I recommend getting your clipper serviced every 3 to 6 months, depending on if you use it all day. If you use it all day, 8 hours a day, I mean, this thing needs to come to me every 3 months. I can fix it. It will be minimum cost if you keep your blade oiled. And why I say that is because this clipper don't know that this blade don't have oil. But what happens is it tries its best to do its job, so it will spin at all costs, and it tears everything up. It breaks bearings, burns commutators, burns brushes out. It even gets the cord hot. You can break this bearing and then you're in trouble, instead of just replacing this. Like, this is gonna wear out. It's a wear and tear part, so eventually it's gonna go out no matter what. No clipper can run forever without maintenance. You gotta get them maintenance. That's why I recommend getting Andis or Oster or Wahl, because they have parts available for their clippers. These babless clippers, I mean, they're good, but once they're done, you have to buy a new one. I can still fix them. I can find problems and fix them, but if it has a broken piece, then I can't get that piece. I wish they would send me pieces. I would fix them all for y'all. Maybe in the future I can have a talk with them and we can start fixing all clippers on the market, and I'll find all the parts. But until then, let's just keep these things running. And same with other clippers that don't have parts. If you keep the blade oil, they're gonna last longer. I promise, 100% guarantee. Plus, without oiling your blade, it is harmful for the animal. I got my hair cut a little while back, and you know, they had a dull blade. It was hanging over the comb. It cut me. And when it's dull, you can feel each hair being cut. It'll kind of pull it, and it's really unpleasant. And I told her she needs to get her things sharpened and readjusted, because that's not good for business. No one likes to get hurt when they get their hair cut, not even a dog. And I love dogs, and we should always try to help them. And with a sharp blade, I guarantee it does not hurt them. You need to store these properly, okay? So like I said, oil does help protect, but like I don't oil my skillet and then keep it in water to store it, right? Eventually the water's gonna get through that oil. You have a better chance, but it will get through it. Water is like cancer to metal, and you know, and what happens is it makes it brittle, it will break, and everything. So here's another thing I see a lot with groomers, is not necessarily on these blades, but like big tooth blades. Let's see if I can find one. I'll be right back. So this is a big tooth blade. If you look in between it, you look really close. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you see like little micro things in it. Well, that's skin. Skin gets stuck in there. I'm going to show you how to clean that right now, because I see a lot of groomers, they have that, and it's really nothing you can do. Oiling your blade does help, but unfortunately these are long teeth, and eventually they will get skin and hair follicles and debris from the hair in there, and you will have to clean it, or the hair will not slide through here evenly, and you're gonna get all kinds of messed up cuts. Now when you send them in to me, I always clean that and I always look for it, but I'll show you a trick right now on how to do that. So just like Cool Lube is not oil, okay? Cool Lube says it has oil in it, but generally what happens is it cools down the blade, and the nitrogen or compressed oxygen, whatever's in it, evaporates because it's compressed. So it basically evaporates immediately. People say, I do oil my blades, and I say, no you don't, they're orange. And they said, yes I do, and I said, are you sure, are you using Cool Lube? And they almost always say, yes I use Cool Lube, it has oil in it. Yes it does, okay? So does WD-40, okay? WD-40 has fish oil in it, which is better than the oil they put in Cool Lube, my personal opinion. But still, when you use Cool Lube, oil afterwards. a little thin line. You don't have to take your blade apart or anything. You could just put a dot there, dot there, dot there, and move the cutter blade around. This is a comb blade. The cutter is the one that moves. Okay, so let's go into cleaning this. I use WD-40. It cleans corrosion and all that, but what I do is I use WD-40 and then I blow it off, and it gets all that gunk out of there, and then I re-oil the blade. This is just a cleaner. It just cleans residue off your blade. It's safe. I've used it forever. You may not like the smell. I love it. I would buy cologne if it was WD-40 cologne. I'd be walking around with WD-40 cologne on. It smells so good. But anyway, that's me. I've been around it my whole life. But if you don't want to use this, then you can use other cleaners, and you can use a wire brush if you need to. Anything, just to get that residue off. And so now when you store them, okay, so just put a little oil on them, slide it around a little bit. If you got plastic bags, then that would for sure keep it from rusting. Like if you're in a damp environment, you're in a mobile grooming trailer and you got a bath in there, I understand there's moisture everywhere, especially in Texas here. It's so humid, but look at this blade. It's been sitting here probably for years, and it's still a good blade, and there's no rust because before I throw them in the bin, I re-oil them. I oil them and I put them in there because it's humid in Texas. I don't want them to rust. When something rusts, depending on how thick the rust is it's got to be removed, plus any holes the rust put into the metal's got to be removed, or it'll pull hair where those holes are. So we sharpen clipper blades and we fix all clippers. I mean all clippers. Now I can't fix all clippers if it doesn't have parts, but sometimes I can even fix them if they don't have parts. I can make parts or whatever, but you want to have your clippers working at tip-top shape. If the clipper is not working at 100% and the blade is, you're still going to get a 50% cut. If the blade is working at 100% but your clipper is working at 50%, you're still going to get a 50% cut. Just like if you are the best groomer in the world and you have bad equipment, you're still not going to be able to groom that well. Like if my wheels didn't work at all, like it doesn't matter how much experience I have, if they don't have the correct shape, that's why I send them off to a machinist and I get them shaped correctly. I have to have good wheels to provide a good service. Now, can I get a blade sharp on a bad wheel? Yes, I can. How good? Well, that is what I don't like. So I like quality work and, keep you guys running and staying in business, and you guys keep me running and staying in business, so it works hand in hand. So store your equipment properly. If you're around a bathtub and you set them right next to a bathtub, oil them, put them in a plastic bag, and I promise they will not rust. So yeah, so you can use WD-40 as like this, like that, and then brush it out and blow it off if you don't like the smell. Like I said, my blades don't smell like WD-40 because I blow the oil off. The only reason I use WD-40 is to clean the corrosion off the teeth. My grandpa's used it for, since he started sharpening. Well, he's no longer alive, but if he was, he'd be sharpening 45 years now. My dad sharpened, my uncle sharpens, and my cousin sharpens. So we all agree on this. I talk about sharpening every day with my uncle almost, and it's 100% agreement that oil helps these. It doesn't matter what way you turn. Like, you can say, I can't use oil because it gets on the dog or the head of hair, and I'm like, but it only lasts for 1 second and you can wipe it off if you have to, or go underneath the sanitary. Just one little swipe, or you can just oil it and blow it off with the air can or an air compressor. So yeah. So thank you for this wonderful adventure. That was 5 tips on how to keep your grooms looking good and make your job efficient, and where you get fat tips. But anyway, thank you for this wonderful adventure. It was so much fun. Sorry it was kind of a boring video, but it's educational, and I just want to teach you guys how to use your equipment the best you can so you make the most money you can.